Today we're in conversation with Lill from CMHA. And Lill, you do workplace mental health training, and I want to talk about that, but I want to look at it from the boss's perspective. How are you finding uh, the owners of these businesses? Are they welcoming you? Do they look at it and kind of go, oh boy? Like, talk to me about that as far as an owner.
Sure. I think they're welcoming it, Dave. I think times are changing and employers are realizing that times are changing. And they also realize that it's very important for a happy employee, for a person to be happy, because they also ultimately have loyalty to the agency and are more likely to be a productive employee. You can't turn your back on wellness in the workplace. Mental health issues are everywhere, and it really does affect the bottom line. And I think employers are realizing that, and that's a good thing.
I mean, probably, I'm going to guess, and you can fill this in for me. Probably 20 years ago, there was a lot of resistance, I would think, probably to have programs like this in place, correct?
Yes. I'll give you a quick example. I was asked to do workplace training at a company which will remain unnamed, and I would say even five years ago. Yeah. And for it was supposed to be for the workers, and the managers were sitting in and acting as spies. And at
Oh
break,
boy.
people were asking me, I heard that person, saw that person take you aside. What was he talking about? We have a grievance process here. And I was really taken aback. And, so it's definitely, that was my one and only experience like that. And, my response was, you need to let your employees have this important information, right? Because ultimately it's a win-win. But times definitely are changing, and I see a more welcoming approach to talking about mental wellness and stress management on the job. Yeah.
And you, like your diversity in the workplace training, you probably did really small businesses to corporations to farming. Like, have you been all over the place with this program?
All over the place. Our workforce composition is changing as well too. We have different people from different nations and countries,
Yeah.
etc., ethnicities, and that's becoming more and more common. So we need to really learn how to do all that and how to help these people. Yeah.
Is there, now you've been doing this a long time too. Is there a common problem that you see in a lot of places that people maybe approach you about afterwards? Like, is there a theme that you're like, oh, this is something, that a lot of companies need to address? Is there anything that stands out?
Well, not so much the companies, but mostly they come to me about their families whenever
Oh,
I'm doing this workplace wellness. I got to say, Dave, I'm really impressed with the companies, both large and small, that I go to that are really, really becoming more engaged in keeping their employees well, which is very positive.
and today's workforce too, right? Like you mentioned the diversity and just there's a lot of turnover. So I think, if you find a good employee, you really want to go that extra. I'm sure there's lots of
Yes,
good employees. Let me rephrase that.
for
But
sure.
you want to keep them happy. So talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you would talk to them about. Like, what would, if I have a staff and you're coming in, what should I expect?
hmm So, a lot talk about their mental health challenges in general, right? And, employers want to know how to help individuals that have come forth to either HR or request an accommodation because of mental health challenges or addictions or something along that line. And basically, they want to know, and they want to sort of be reassured that they're doing the right thing. And they'll come to me and say, listen, Joe Blow came to HR, and, we've told him over and over again that you can't drink on the job and this and that. And we don't want to fire him because he's a really good worker. HR is involved, and, like, is an accommodation the right way to go, and things like that. So they're asking for advice. They want to make sure that they're on the right track. And I see a genuine concern and caring instead of just, you can't do the job, get out of here. You're too depressed to do the job, get out of here. It's not like that anymore, Dave. Yeah.
And do a lot of these, like with a lot of the companies, do they put into place programs then that can sort of, through you, that can sort of help the employees? Like, I,
Yeah.
I don't know if I was working for a large company and I was having a crisis that I would want to talk to HR. I might want to talk to
Yeah.
somebody separately. You know what I mean?
Yes, true, for sure. And EAP programs, a lot of these companies have amazing EAP programs, and
What does
that's
that mean? What does that mean?
employee assistance program.
Okay.
Okay. So you can get counseling, benefits paid. Counseling is expensive, private counseling,
Yeah.
and you can get so many sessions that are covered and things like that. And so basically, with HR, you would say, look, I would like to access EAP. And, you don't have to tell them what for, they're
Okay.
just EAP. And nobody needs to know that you're going for counseling or that you've taken advantage of a service that EAP offers. It's all strictly confidential. So, yeah.
It's always nice too. When you see somebody that's maybe struggling a bit and then
Yeah.
they get a win, like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Somebody helps them and they
Yeah.
get back on their feet. And it's
Yeah.
always so positive because
Yeah.
they pass it forward, right? And I think that's,
Exactly.
well, you've got this whole string effect here where you're going in and sort of saying, hey, here's
Yeah.
what we can do. And if we all
Yeah.
work together. Have you encountered, have you had any bosses reach out after a success story like that?
Yes. Yes. And, one that comes to mind is when an employee took their life by suicide and
Oh,
impacted the entire agency, the entire business, understandably. And there was a lot of grief and shock. And we went in and did a debrief, and they knew what to look for, the signs, and knew to look for different types of behavior. And they also learned how to ask. Right? People are afraid to ask, for fear of saying the wrong thing. And we provided them with the skills of how to start a conversation without it going to pot right afterwards. So definitely they learned how to start that conversation, how to continue that conversation, and how to get people help without, coming across as intrusive. So that was very successful.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but I
Yeah.
mean, in the end,
Yeah.
it probably helped save some other lives that
Oh, for
are
sure.
critical.
Yep.
Do you? This is kind of an interesting question too, because with my advanced age,
Oh, please.
I mean, I see my kids are in their 20s and 30s or late 20s. It's just such a different mindset to when I
Hmm.
grew up working
Yeah.
and to what they're working. And when you go into a larger company, you're going to have that diversity. So
Yes.
you must see sort of different checks and balances at each different stage of somebody's work life in that company, right?
Yes, yes. Our younger generation placed a lot of importance on workplace wellness. In fact, probably 100% is their reason for staying. If the culture is positive, if their workplace wellness and work-life balance is respected, that's very key to our younger generation for sure. Some of the other generations, some of them may not come forth and speak up because they think that this is a job, this is my job, this is what I get paid for. No one wants to hear about my problems. But absolutely, if you are having mental health concerns on the job, it very much needs to be addressed for sure. Yeah.
And it's one of those, as an owner of a business, and I've had employees in the past, and great people, a lot of times really good people, but I found that I spent so much time working on their issues, I
Hmm.
wasn't growing my business. Do
Hmm.
you hear that from do you hear that from businesses too?
Not so much, Dave, but it is impactful when a person is living with mental health challenges on the job
Yeah.
and it's not being addressed, right? So they do address them and sort out where referrals can go and make sure that they get the help that they need. But not so much as you're describing. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I think too, it's the people. I mean, you try and create a positive environment for your
Hmm.
staff, and you always try and do what you think is the right steps to help them succeed.
Right.
But if you don't listen to what they're saying, you don't understand where they're coming from. So maybe that's not the path they choose.
Yes, exactly. And when we do our training, there's a key method processes that we go through, and the first one is listen, ask,
Yeah.
assist. Right, and you see, assist is at the end, right? Because some people just want to jump in and help, right? But you have to listen and ask, and then you assist. Yeah.
And I think, to wrap it up, I mean, what we started with 20 years ago or 30 years, like, I mean, if we look back, I look at what probably my grandparents were working, the situations they were working in. It has come a long, long, long way as far as safety
Absolutely.
and helping people deal with their mental health issues. Maybe they may be struggling outside of work, and
Yeah,
it shows at work, right?
exactly.
So people just give you guys a shout if they wanted to put this program together for their work. How do they
Yes,
do it?
absolutely. Yeah, it's it's a very good program, and we do come out to your workplace. You don't have to come to me. It makes sense to do this on site. So please just give me a shout, and we'd be happy to come out and talk to your group.
And there's I mean, when I was looking here at your site and seeing it, like general mental health awareness and skill building for employees, psychology, safe leadership and people manager training, mental health and remote work, coping with change. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Resilience, resilience building strategies for stress. Yeah, stress, eh? There it is. And that affects your whole life, right? If
Sure
there's
does.
stress at work, oh,
Yeah.
boundary encouraging behavior and work-life balance, preventing burnout. That's another big one. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and mental health, recognizing and responding to mental health concerns in the workplace.
Mhm.
Health and safety and the national standards, specific issues of your workplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a full day?
It can be. We have lunch and learns. We have 3 hours. We have a full day. It really depends on what the employers are looking for. Mostly lunch and learns. The requests for those are the most. Yeah.
And my last question will be, what's the biggest question you hear?
The biggest question here, am I doing it right? Okay. I
Oh, yeah,
get
you
that
did bring
all
that
the
up.
time. Am
Yeah.
I doing it right? Okay. Like so and so came and talked to me, and this is what we offered. Was that the right approach? Yes, it was.
And what about the other side of it? When an employee,
Yeah.
what's
It,
their big one?
Sometimes they say that, they asked for time off because they weren't feeling well and they got a little bit of a run around. And then I would help to say, this is a request that, you need to talk to HR about and that you need to explain what's going on. And it can't be denied if this is what you need, right? So it's your
Oh,
right. Yeah.
yeah. I
So
didn't know.
sometimes we inform people of their rights because they're just not aware, right? So.
Lill, keep up the great work.
Oh,
This is
thank
a
you.
wonderful conversation. And you and I off air were going down so many roads, and I was like,
That's
oh,
right.
we can go all over the place on this. But I do think as a boss, as a business owner, it is one of those things that's top of mind these days. It wasn't, I got to be honest with you, it wasn't in my vocabulary 20 years ago.
Listen, and
So I'm
no
glad
one's.
it is.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's just a little compassion. I mean, you want your employees to be happy and you want to help them. And maybe in different forms we did 20 years ago and we didn't realize we were helping them. But the whole point is to make sure your workplace provides those opportunities for folks who may
Mhm.
be struggling. So keep up the good work.
Thank you, Dave. Bye bye.